Brent here, Speak English with this guy. I hope you are ready to learn some English because I have a lot of English learning for you. Right around 2 hours of English lessons, and guess what? They are completely ad-free. The channel has been going for about 2 years and 2 months, almost to the day. And some of the older lessons I thought might be better if I put them together in one long English lesson. Basically, all you have to do is push play and let it run. You will get over 2 hours of English listening. And if that's not enough for you, at the end of this lesson, there's a link for 2 more hours of English listening without any ads. If you don't mind, like this video and enjoy. Some guy brought his dog in here. I'll try to get that on video. I mean, who brings their dog in here? Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is American English with this guy. I'm this guy. My name is Brent. I've been an English teacher in the United States for 20 years, and the goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. And today's video is going to be a little bit of everything. You clicked on here because the title and the thumbnail showed you that we are going to take a trip to the Dollar Tree. I don't get kicked out of this store, unlike the video you'll see up there where I go to Trader Joe's. In this video, I go to a store called the Dollar Tree, where literally everything in the store is an American dollar. This video originally came out to members only, so you will hear me talk about the members quite a bit, but I wanted to release it to everybody today because in next week's video, I talk about another dog that I see. I go to Walmart. That video is actually already available to members. It's called Electro Words. I talk about words like electrician, electrical, electricity, but it will come out to everyone sometime next week. I do want to shout out a couple new members, Adriano and Joanne. Thank you so much for becoming members. If you are thinking about becoming a member, there's a join button right down there. If you push it, it will show you a video with more details. But if you do become a member, you will get some videos early, be able to participate in video chats, and also be able to participate in live streams where only members can chat for just a little bit. And if you stick around after the trip to the Dollar Tree, there are 2 more things I would like to talk about. One is a way that you can be in one of my videos, and the other is how this channel might change just a little bit when I start back to school in a couple weeks. If I did it correctly, there should be chapters in the description box. So if you want to skip to any of the other 2 parts of this video, you should be able to do it pretty easily. All right, so let's go to the part where I visit the Dollar Tree. Hello, what is going on to all you members? Thank you so much for becoming members. I think today I'm going to do a quick little video to show you what the inside of a Dollar Tree looks like. That is our local store that sells everything for an American dollar. So it'll be a quick one and I'll have my mask on, but I thought, this wouldn't make a great video for the entire channel, but to give you a sneak peek into a video I might do in the future, which is going into the Dollar Tree once we don't have to wear masks, So the reason I'm here is my daughter is having 2 friends over tonight, and she was wondering if I can get them some candy. So the candy here is really cheap, and I'll show you what it looks like. But this place is it's pretty crappy. It's like the parking lot's kind of dirty, but whatever. I'll show you what the Dollar Tree in the United States looks like. It's like all the trash here in the parking lot, but everything is $1. And there are two doors, but have to use the other door. One door to go in, and there's one door to go out. So try to get as few people going in opposite directions as possible. Some guy brought his dog in here. I'll try to get that on video. I mean, who brings their dog in here? My daughter wants Twizzlers and sour candy, and they're right here. What an experience. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to visit the United States, I don't know what will. That last candy that you saw were some gummy bears. Those are the real gummy bears. But there are some sugar-free gummy bears. And in the description, I'm going to leave a link to some Amazon reviews. I hope it works in your country. I think it's in the United States, but I'll leave a link, and they are just the funniest things you will read. I was literally crying this weekend after my daughter showed me those reviews. So I don't want to say why they're funny, but you might want to read them and leave in the comments if it was funny to you, if you could read them. So thanks for watching. Thanks for becoming members. See you later. I hope you enjoyed that video. Yeah, you can click on the link in the description, and it will give you some pretty frightening reviews on some of these sugar-free gummy bears. I'm also filming this inside where the lighting is a little better. It's a little quieter. I can be a little more relaxed to deliver information. But right outside of the window, there is a bird nest under my deck with some little baby birds in it. And I don't know about you, but those little baby birds are pretty ugly. So the second part of this video is where you come in. And I truly think that this is one of the best English learning communities on YouTube. When I first started this channel, I knew there would be a lot of positivity, but I also knew there would be a lot of trolls, a lot of haters, a lot of negativity. But so far, that hasn't happened. I've been able to speak with some of you through video. I've been able to talk with a lot of you through the comments and the Facebook page. And I just think it's such an amazing community, so much positivity. I'm not sure if you saw that video that I did with Rod, an English teacher in Brazil. Just an all-around great guy. I would like to do more of them, but I think there's a way that you can be in one of my videos pretty quickly. And this idea comes from Adriana. She is a channel member. I've been able to speak with her on video a couple times. She's from Poland, but she emailed me yesterday with this idea that you, watching right now, could send me a video of yourself. And there are a bunch of questions that she came up with that you could answer in your video. That way, viewers could learn more about the people who watch these videos. I think that will be a great thing for you to be able to introduce yourself to all of the other people who watch these videos. And I think another bonus will be you get to practice speaking in English. Now, of course, you are going to be speaking about yourself or maybe the city or country that you live in. You can practice, but what better way to practice English is to put yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable and really rehearse what you want to say, send it to me, and then I will put all of these videos into one video. I have to cut in again. I forgot to tell you the email address for you to send your videos. It's in the description, but it's thisguybrent@hotmail.com. All right, back to the video. Please check out the description box because there will be those questions that Adriana submitted that will be helpful, I think, in helping you come up with your video. Please make them pretty short. Maybe 30 seconds to a minute would be nice. And make sure you film it with your phone in landscape, not portrait. And what I mean by landscape is this way. This is just some notes I'm using so I don't forget what to say. So have your phone going like this, landscape, not like this. We call it portrait because there will be like big black bars on the side of your video. Nobody wants to see that. I start back to school in about 2 weeks, which brings me to the third part of this video and how the channel might change just a little. I don't want to set a deadline for having the videos come in, but it will have to be within the next couple weeks. And I'm filming this on August 11th. I start back to school August 28th, I think, 2020. So please try to get those videos in as quickly as possible so I can edit them before I start school. Now, in the fall, I hope to be able to do all of the things I have been doing through quarantine and the summer. But I have had a lot of extra time to make videos, upload videos, respond to comments. It might get a little bit less this fall. My goal is to still read every comment. I don't know if I can respond to each and every one, but I would love to give a heart for each one. And I would like to upload 2 videos per week, plus also do 2 live streams per week. I think I can still teach my classroom students and do this YouTube channel at the same time as long as I dial back a little bit. And when we say dial back, that means just do a little bit less. If someone enters a room with a lot of energy and you're not ready for that energy, you might ask them to, hey, could you dial it back a little bit? Maybe you haven't had your morning coffee yet. If you are still watching, thank you so much. I hope you found this video useful. I hope that you will submit your video. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for being part of this awesome community. See you next time. Oh, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is all about finding other ways to tell someone to shut up. If this is your first time here, my name is Brent. I've been an English teacher in the United States for over 20 years, and the goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. Now, normally I wouldn't cover a topic like this. It is a little rude, but last week in the live stream, this question came up 2 days in a row. I believe the question was, how do you tell someone to politely shut up? Because let's face it, if you tell someone to shut up or stop talking, most people are probably going to find that rather rude. But let's face it, everyone has that someone in their life who will not stop talking. Today I have 6 ways to tell someone to shut up, but I can't promise that all of them will be polite. In fact, a couple of them are rather rude, but English learning can't be serious all the time. Sometimes you gotta have a little fun. The first way to tell someone to shut up or stop talking would be to put your fingers to your lips and make this sound. Shh. Many teachers in the US will shush their students, and yes, that's the verb, shush. But most adults will find this rude if you shush them. In fact, they might ask, "Did you just shush me?" So be careful when you ask someone to be quiet and you shush them. you might have to get ready to fight. Which is why next week's video will be 6 ways to defend yourself. This next one comes from Michael Scott from the television show The Office. Sometimes you will hear Michael Scott say, shut it. So the next one is shut it. And that is referring to someone's mouth. You literally want them to shut it like a door and not open it back up again. Still quite rude. So I would advise you to only use some of these on children, people who are smaller than you, and people you can run faster than. The next one is zip it, zip it, zip it. So zip it, much like shut it, is you want them to close their mouth, much like a zipper zipping up a jacket. The next one is shut your pie hole, meaning the hole from which you eat pie. And I gotta give credit to this one. Jesus mentioned this in one of our video chats. If you would like to participate in a monthly video chat, check that join button below to become a member. He asked me about my upcoming videos, and I talked about this one, and I said, shut your pie hole, and Jesus said, don't forget, shut your cake hole. And that is one I had forgotten. I guess it's possible you could call your mouth a hole for pretty much anything you eat. Your cake hole, your pie hole, your cheese hole, your pizza hole. Shut your sushi hole. That's hard to say. Sushi hole. Shut your sushi hole. Maybe, let's forget about sushi hole. Shut your pasta hole. I like that one. If you would like to add any other food type holes, leave it in the comments below. Shut your hot dog hole. And we do have a couple names in English for people who like to talk a lot. Motormouth is one that you might hear, or blabbermouth. Blabbermouth could also be used for someone who likes to gossip. And another term that mostly the boomers like is chatty Cathy. A chatty Cathy is someone who will never stop talking. Another one, and this might be more of a New England thing, maybe some New England slang, but we often say pipe down when we want someone to be quiet. I don't know where it comes from, and I don't think it has anything to do with a pipe. With these next couple examples, you are less likely to get your butt kicked. I should probably put a disclaimer on this video. Use these sayings at your own risk. But for one that's a little more polite, could you be quiet, please? You've added please, that's nice, but still you're asking someone to stop talking. And this last one is more of a way or a technique to get someone to stop talking. If someone is being a blabbermouth or a motormouth or a chatty Cathy, you might say, hang on, did you hear something? Even if there isn't a noise, that might cause them to stop talking and think. Maybe they will lose track of what they were trying to say, and that might give you a chance to start talking. Before we go, I would like to thank Sam the Taiwanese for becoming a channel member. I hope you have enjoyed this less serious video. If you're looking for even more English today, I'll put up a couple videos that you can look at. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. Hello, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be another one of those videos in which I tell a simple story. I have done this a couple times before. In fact, there's a playlist right up there called Story Time with Brent. In those videos, I take a certain part of English, maybe could, would, and should, and use it over and over again in a story so that it sounds familiar to you. It helps you understand how to use that tricky part of the English language. For today's story, I'd like to focus on two very tricky ways that we use the past tense. And those two ways are supposed to and used to. And it doesn't really help if you know how to use the verb suppose and the verb use, because they have very little, if any, connection to when we use supposed to and used to. When we say supposed to, that's another way for us to say should. And if you want some more work with should, there's a video right up there where I tell a story with should. Used to basically means it once happened, but now it no longer happens. I was supposed to go to the ocean today, but then it started raining. I used to be 43 years old, but now I am 44 years old. So my story today is about how my wife, Jamie, you may have met her on this channel. She's done a few videos with me in the past. And my son were supposed to fly to Alabama to see my mother-in-law, but then plans changed. So as you may know, Jamie and I now live in the state of Maine in the United States. But we used to live in Alabama. In fact, Jamie was born in Alabama and we both went to college in Alabama. We have lived in Maine for almost 20 years, but we used to try to get back to Alabama every summer, which wasn't too difficult because we were both teachers and we had the summers off. But once we started having children, it made it a little more difficult to get back to Alabama every summer. Because our children are so busy with summer activities, we now try to get back to Alabama every few years. And when you hear a native speaker say every few years, they mean probably every 3 or 4. If you hear somebody say every couple years, that means every 2 years or every other year. I am filming this in the middle of July 2020. Our story starts back in the middle of June 2020, about a month ago. We were supposed to go to Alabama this summer, but because of the coronavirus, we changed plans in about March. But by June, the cases in the United States were going down. The coronavirus didn't seem to be as big of a threat. So Jamie thought that maybe I should go see my mom. It has been a couple years since we've been down there. And my son had just turned 13, so she thought it would be a nice mother and son trip to take. My daughter and I would stay here in Maine to save a little money. The plane tickets can be rather expensive. When Jamie started looking online for tickets, we thought they were supposed to be a lot more expensive than they actually were. They actually weren't that expensive. They were actually pretty reasonable. And when you hear a native speaker say reasonable, it means they weren't that expensive. So Jamie bought the plane tickets and it was supposed to be a great time for mother and son. Fast forward 2 weeks. When you hear fast forward in a story, that basically means that there is a period of time that really isn't that important to my story, so I'm gonna forget about them. So fast forward 2 weeks. Jamie gets a call from her mother, or my mother-in-law. Remember, in-law, that means related by marriage. When I married Jamie, her mother became my mother-in-law, and she has 2 brothers. Her 2 brothers became my brothers-in-law. That's how we pluralize a term with in-law. The first part, daughters-in-law, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, that's the part that gets the S. It's not brother-in-laws, it's brothers-in-law. So my mother-in-law called 2 days before Jamie and my son were supposed to leave for the airport and fly down to Alabama. And she said, I don't think you guys should come down here. The coronavirus cases are getting out of control. And when we say something is out of control, that means it's no longer safe. Think of a forest fire, fires that start in the forest. Sometimes those can get out of control, meaning they spread really far. And if you'd like to learn more about the difference between spread and scatter, I have a video right up there for you. My mother-in-law called to say that the coronavirus cases were spreading like wildfire down in Alabama. And we had seen on the news that the southern part of the United States was really starting to pick up with coronavirus cases. In fact, as I'm filming this video, a couple weeks later, after my mother-in-law's call, Florida, the state that borders Alabama, set a record yesterday for the most coronaviruses of any state in any one day, with 15,000 new cases. Needless to say, my wife and my son were disappointed because they were supposed to visit my mother-in-law. But unfortunately, most people are now used to disappointments. Many special events like weddings and birthday parties have had to have been canceled, unfortunately, because of coronavirus cases. Sorry, I need to break into this video for a second. I was editing it and I noticed that I used to in a different way. We actually have a couple ways to use used to. I may need to make another video on this, but the way I used it just then was more like meaning you are comfortable with something. You have gotten used to it. You understand it now. So maybe you started a new job. At first, it's a little difficult for you. You don't know your coworkers. You don't know exactly how the boss wants you to do the job. But after a couple weeks, you may get used to it. How about new shoes? Every time you buy new shoes, it seems like you have to break them in. And that's the second time I've used that phrasal verb, break in. Maybe I need to do a video on that also. But those new shoes you just bought, they may hurt your feet for the first couple days, but then you get used to them. You get comfortable with them. You know how they work. Your feet get used to them. All right, I hope that helps. Sorry, I don't like to introduce big topics towards the end of the video, but I figured I should just break in and let you know about the difference between used to one way and used to the other way. All right, thanks for watching. Back to the video. I hope this little story has helped. I hope you have a better understanding now of used to and supposed to. But if you would like to spend some more time with English, here are a couple videos that might help you out. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Brent here from American English with this guy. Taking a little walk in the woods, not far from my house, but figured, let's do an English lesson, help you improve your English. And today I am going to do that with a bad dad joke. If you don't know what a dad joke is, it's a joke that dads tell, and they're always just bad because they use something called puns. And puns are sentences or statements that can be read more than one way. I promise you will not laugh at this joke, but it will give us a chance to talk about puns and slang and homophones. 3 things that might be helpful if you want to learn English. But since I am a dad, I am an expert at telling bad dad jokes. There is a crust on top of the snow. That makes it a little tough to walk in the woods. But there might have been a little bunny rabbit that has come through this trail already. So the joke starts out easy enough. Why do pizza makers go to work every day? It's simply asking a question. The punchline, that's the end of the joke that is supposed to make it funny. Well, that's where the difficult stuff comes in, because there is a pair of homophones in there, it is a pun and there is a little bit of slang. The punchline is they need the dough. So let's read that one way, and basically it's like literal. So they need, the way it's spelled there, need is a verb for what you do to dough before you make it into bread. I think, I'm not a pizza maker, but I think that's the way it works. You need to work the dough a little bit, and we call that kneading. So dough is just, you know, pizza before the crust of the pizza, before it becomes crust, before it's baked. Dough. But this is where it's supposed to get funny, but it doesn't. You can also read it like this. They need the dough. Need. It's spelled differently from the other need, meaning they have to have it. Need. And then the other part is slang. Dough can also mean money. So you could read it, they need the dough. Literally, they go to work every day because they're making pizza, or they need the money. That's why they go to work. And it's a dad joke. It's just, it's not funny. Sorry. Sometimes you're laughing at the dad and not with the dad. So if you're laughing at somebody, it means they probably aren't laughing either. It's kind of like you're making fun of them. So when dads tell jokes, most people laugh at them. If they were laughing with them, everybody would be having a good time. The dad would be in on the joke. The people would be in on the joke. But you never want to be laughed at. You want someone to laugh with you. There's a little difference with the prepositions. I would love to give a huge shout out to the channel members who support me each month, help me buy new equipment to make this channel a little bit better every month, hopefully. I hope you don't unsubscribe to this channel. In fact, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. There are a couple more English videos there for you if you want to continue your English learning, and I promise they will contain no bad dad jokes. Thanks for watching. See you next time. I think one of the best ways to learn English is through storytelling. So I would like to tell you a story about how people in the United States feel about swimming. And I'm doing it outside, as you can see. It's actually a fairly warm day here in Maine, the end of February. And so I thought I would tell you a story in almost exactly the way I speak. It will help you with your listening comprehension, and also at the same time, you might learn a little bit about American culture. So, and you'll probably see me slip quite a bit because I am still on the snow. I'm on top of the snow. I'm not wearing boots. I'm wearing my dad's shoes. They don't look very good. They're like blue, but they're comfortable, and they keep me out of the snow a little bit. But I was surprised when I put a poll up a couple weeks ago asking if you could swim. And I was surprised at the number of people who could not swim. And I thought, that's a lot different from the people where I live. Because in Maine, we have a lot of rivers, we have a lot of lakes. Also, we have the ocean, which is not that far from where I live, about a 20-30 minute drive. And so when babies are born, most parents want their babies, or at least their small children, to learn how to swim pretty quickly, just in case there's an accident and they fall in and are unable to swim. So a lot of parents will sign their small children up for swim lessons. There are a lot of local pools where I live, and many of them offer swim lessons. So as soon as possible, you know, I've seen some parents, and I'm not even going to put a video up of this, where parents will just throw their babies into the water because there's the idea that, oh, they will be able to naturally swim. I don't agree with that. And they might be able to naturally swim, but I think it would really scare the baby. So we never did that as parents, but both of my children were able to swim at a pretty young age, and they kind of did it naturally. There was a pool where we were staying one summer, and we were just always watching them, and they had these little arm floaties on, and within a couple weeks they were able to swim. So we felt good about that. If they were ever at the ocean and they accidentally fell into the water, or they were walking by a river and got pushed in or accidentally slipped in, they would be able to save themselves by swimming. The same for my parents growing up. We actually had a pool, and my parents wanted me to know how to swim very early on. Now, there are some Americans, you know, we're a big country, over 300 million people. And I can't speak for every American, because I know there are some groups of Americans who don't know how to swim. But I would say in my state of Maine, it is very important to most parents for their children to learn how to swim at an early age. I have a story about somebody in my family. I don't want to say exactly who, but it's of my parents' generation. And they told me when I was younger that they had a bad experience with swimming. They were at the ocean. I think they were 4 or 5 years old, and a big wave came along and they got swept up into the sea. And their father had to jump in and save them. And to this day, this person is in her 70s or 80s now. To this day, she doesn't know how to swim. She thinks she has something called hydrophobia. And in a lesson, I'll put a link up to it. I did a lesson on phobias in English, and hydrophobia means the extreme fear of swimming. So to this day, she does not know how to swim. And like I said, she's in her 70s and her 80s. So I don't think she'll ever learn how to swim, which is unfortunate. Living where I live in the summer, like I said, there are a lot of places where you can enjoy the water. If it's warm enough, a lot of times it's not. But you can enjoy the water, and so if somebody can't swim, they probably won't have as good a time in the summer as other people who can swim. The last thing I'd like to share with you is a very sad story about a school that I used to teach at. I don't teach there anymore. This incident happened at a time, like after I left the school. I was not at the school, but some of my friends that I used to teach with experienced this. And so at the end of the year, we would often go on a field trip to a local lake. And all the kids would pretty much know how to swim. But a couple of years ago, my former school, some of my friends took their students to a lake, and unfortunately, true story, one of the students did not know how to swim. And when you have 50 to 100 teenagers in the water, it's often hard to tell when somebody is drowning. And somebody, a student, I think he was like 14 years old, maybe 13 years old, actually died on that school field trip. And my school, the new school that I teach at, I've been teaching at, I'm actually out back in my school right now. My school had planned to go to this same lake the next week, and we canceled our plans for that because I think it happened 2 years ago. But just because, you know, out of respect for the teenager who lost his life, and also, I don't know, you know, I don't think we'll ever go to the lake again, just because I know that some of my friends feel a tremendous amount of guilt after one of their students drowning, kind of like on their watch. Like they probably should have been watching, and I'm sure they were, but like I said, and there was no lifeguard on duty at the time, but like I said, it's very difficult to keep track of 100 students, and if somebody is drowning, they're obviously under the water and you can't see them. So that was something that I'm, you know, selfishly, I'm glad I was not at the school when that happened, because I know that some of my friends, and one of them was very close to retiring, and she, like, to stop being a teacher, she was retiring because she was older and she could, she might have taught another year, but because of this incident, she decided to retire. It happened in the spring, almost about the time we were getting out of school. And this is what happens. It's a celebration usually for the end of the school year. So that's why a lot of teachers will take their students swimming. I just slipped in the snow. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier. But so I don't think in my town and the town right next to me is where this accident, this tragic accident happened. I don't think we'll be going back swimming anytime soon. As I slipped again. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you had a little bit more English listening comprehension to help you with your English learning. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time. I have my mask back on just because I'm getting closer to the school, but I forgot to mention I have a whole playlist of me telling stories in this kind of English. So if you're looking for more, there's a playlist for you. Again, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is American English with this guy. I'm this guy. My name is Brent, and I've been an English teacher in the United States for over 20 years. Right now, my son is at hockey practice, so I'm going to make this video about National Cat Day while I wait for him to finish. Not far from where my son practices, there's a little trail that I can take. I'll walk on it and talk to you at the same time. I need to hurry because there isn't a whole lot of light left in the day, even though it's only 5:30 in the evening. The days get pretty short here in Maine during the winter. So yeah, National Black Cat Day. I guess the day is designed, oh, it's getting really dark here, is designed to raise awareness for the treatment of black cats. In English, when we say to raise the awareness of something, it means you want to let other people know about, in this case, it would be the rough life black cats have in the United States. Didn't know it was National Black Cat Day today until I checked my Facebook this morning, and one of my friends wrote on there, this person is a cat lover. That's what we call someone in English who loves cats, a cat lover. And they said on their Facebook page, don't forget, today is National Black Cat Day. You can see I'm at home right now, but I put on the community tab of my YouTube channel a question about black cats. Are they also feared? Are there superstitions about them in your country? And as you can see, most people said yes. And you can see that Adriana and Sita, I know they're both cat lovers. I didn't know the thing about spitting over your shoulder to get rid of a bad spell, but I guess that's a thing in Poland. And of course, right? Just like anybody, dogs, people, there are good cats and there are bad cats. I've had a couple bad experiences with cats. And as you can see, Zobeda said she is a little scared of cats. I'm a little scared of cats. In fact, there is a saying in English, when someone is scared of something, they might say, you're a scaredy cat. but I am literally nervous when I get around cats because when I was younger, I went to pet a cat, maybe a little too quickly. I was a little kid and the cat scratched me. My daughter had a similar experience when she was younger. From out of nowhere, a cat scratched her hand. So again, I'm not exactly a cat person, but I also believe that cats can be awesome, just like dogs. Dogs can be awesome, or they can bite your head off. I hate cocaine. Great name, by the way. Cocaine is a bad thing. He says in Russia, also spitting over your left shoulder. There is one kind of crazy thing in the United States that is similar to what goes on in Poland and Russia, and that's when you spill salt by accident, you should pick up that spilt salt and throw it over your shoulder for good luck. Luke is also from Poland, and I like what he says here. We have all this technology, yet some of us are still scared of these very ancient superstitions. And Patty Candle from France actually has a black cat named Maya, and she's really nice. And Xu Wang talks about hearing a crow near your house. I'm glad that's not bad luck here, because if you've watched any of my live streams, you might know, even some of my videos, there are a lot of crows around my house. Therefore, I think I would be having bad luck all the time. And Nori from Hungary, I had no idea that in Hungary, if the cat comes from the left, that's a good thing. If it comes from the right, it's a bad thing. I'm left-handed. I write with my left hand, and there are so many things in the United States, not now, but about 100 years ago or so, that if you were left-handed, that was a bad thing for many reasons. In fact, in my hometown, about 70 years ago and before, there was a school that was run by Catholic nuns, and if you were left-handed, they tied that hand behind your back and made you write with your right hand. And I'll write that sentence up there because there are some homophones. They made you write with your right hand. Some students developed a stutter because of this. And in English, a stutter is when your words kind of skip or it takes you a long time to say a word. That's a stutter. All right, let's go back to the woods for the rest of the video. Today is October 27th. I'm not sure if this video will come out the next day, on Wednesday, or the day after that, Thursday, but that's how you can talk about days of the week in English. I could have said tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. That's another way to talk about days in the future. There's a superstition in the United States that if a black cat crosses your path, you will have bad luck. For instance, I'm walking on this path. If a black cat crosses it, I would be a little worried. Now, I'm not superstitious, but I don't want to chance it. I don't want to press my luck. And sometimes we say chance it or press my luck when we mean take a risk. I mean, I don't think something bad will happen to me if a black cat crosses my path, but if it does, then I might jinx myself. Jinx, that is something we say when we give bad luck. So I don't want to jinx myself into thinking I'm going to have bad luck, therefore giving myself bad luck because I was thinking too much about it. There's a game sometimes children play when somebody says something at the same time and they say jinx, the other person can't talk until, I don't know, maybe you owe that person a Coke. That's a very popular thing to owe a person when they call jinx on you. I think there's actually an episode of The Office when Pam calls jinx on Jim.
I do not think that is funny.
Jinx, buy me a Coke.
Oh.
No talking.
But jinx can also mean bad luck. Because black cats have such a bad reputation, or sometimes you'll hear a bad rep or a bad rap, because at least in the United States, there are a lot of stories or fairy tales where witches will have black cats for pets. One thing that often happens during National Black Cat Day is that animal shelters will often try to get their black cats adopted, or sometimes black dogs. Black dogs also have a bad reputation in the United States. A lot of people fear if they adopt a black cat, it might bring them bad luck. So animal shelters often have more black cats and black dogs than all other animals. Apparently brown cats, white cats, yellow cats, I guess they all get adopted more than black cats. So I'm not really a cat person, but I guess if you're going to adopt a cat, maybe adopt a black cat. I don't know. Make some black cat's day by adopting him or her. According to people who love black cats, they are no meaner than any other cat. Maybe they're not nicer than any other cat either. Are you a cat person? Overall, I don't think Americans are a very superstitious bunch, but there is another popular superstition I'd like to make you aware of, and that is step on a crack, break your mama's back. So if you are walking on the street or like across these railroad tracks, you would try not to step on the cracks of the wood as you pass, like this. Hope you've enjoyed this little lesson on National Cat Day. If you're looking for more English lessons, right up there is a playlist all about American culture. And below that are some tips and tricks to help you learn English. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. I was just in a gas station kind of thing, picking up a breakfast pizza that Jamie likes. And I saw they had 3 kinds of Kit Kats. So I thought, let's do a candy bar tasting video. So we have Kit Kat White, which is just white chocolate. We have Kit Kat Duos. So duos means there will be 2 things. It looks like for this, it'll be mint and dark chocolate. And then we have Kit Kat Birthday Cake. And you can see that this is a limited edition, which means it is not going to be available for very long. So let's get home and try some of these candy bars. All right, we're back, and I do have those 3 Kit Kats I'd like to try for you. And I think one of the coolest things about going to another country is trying their candy. So I've had Japanese candy called durian, fruit candy, which I did not like at all. I'm not sure if you've ever had durian, but it is just, to me, not a good taste. Something my taste buds aren't used to. Not far from my house, we have a British shop that sells all things British, and they do have some British candy, a lot of Cadbury stuff, and I like their candy. I don't know what kinds of candy you have available in your country. Maybe you have American candy, but I thought it would be a nice little look at some American culture, because Americans definitely love their candy. And if I had to rank my favorite candy bars, I think they all are American, but Snickers. If you've never had Snickers, that's a good one. Three Musketeers is a great one. And I would say Kit Kat is my third. And I wondered, of the 3, which should I try first? Like, what will be my plan of attack to try these? And I think I will go with white first, because it's kind of plain. And then we'll go with the birthday cake. And then we'll go with this mint one, the duos, to finish it. Because if anything, my breath might be a little more fresh when I end. And because I'm an English teacher and this is an English lesson, I want to give you a little story that's told in slow, clear English to help you with your English comprehension. So let's dive into the first one, which is the white chocolate. And when I was a kid, for Easter, my parents would always give me chocolate. And I have a brother and a sister, and I wanted to be different from them. So I always requested that the Easter Bunny bring me white chocolate instead of milk. We have milk chocolate, which is probably my favorite. We also have dark chocolate, at least that's what we call it. Dark chocolate might be a little bit more harsh. Like you might need a glass of water after eating the chocolate, whereas milk chocolate you won't need as much. And white chocolate, I don't even think is chocolate, to be honest. But if you've ever had the Kit Kat, it is on the package. It actually says like wafers, and when you bite into it, you will see it is a wafer. And there are 4 wafers per pack, and I will probably share the other 3 with each of my family members. I don't need all of this chocolate. It looks like each candy bar actually has over 200 calories. So I definitely do not need 600 calories for a little snack. I just actually ate a light lunch. Light lunch, I didn't have too much lunch because I knew I would be eating some candy bars for dessert. So let's take a bite out of this first one, the white Kit Kat. Yeah, it's a little plain. I do like the regular Kit Kat better. It seems to have more of a punch with the chocolate. But if you want something on maybe the lighter side, this white Kit Kat would be okay. I wouldn't buy it again, that's for sure. I like the regular one better, but not bad to start off with. I thought it would be a good one to start off with because I thought it would probably be my least favorite of the 3. And I don't know how good my camera is here, but there are wafers on the inside of that chocolate. And a thing about wafers is that they have a lot of air in them, so they are kind of light and fluffy. I'll eat the whole thing. So the next one we'll try is the birthday cake. And there are little sprinkles on the wrapper. And I'm wondering if there will actually be sprinkles inside the candy bar or maybe outside of the candy bar. And sprinkles in the United States, we often do put on the top of birthday cakes, or sometimes we put them on the top of our ice cream. They are basically just little slivers of colored sugar. As if the cake and the frosting didn't have enough sugar, we put even more sugar on top. And unfortunately, I don't know if my camera is strong enough to really pull up the writing on the wrapper, but I will read it for you. It says, crisp wafers and birthday cake flavored white cream with sprinkles. So apparently there are sprinkles on these little wafers. So we do have the 4 wafers again. And when I opened this wrapper, it literally smelled like birthday cake. So very sweet, lots of sugar in cake, almost where your teeth might hurt a little bit because the sugar is so sweet. Oh yeah, there are sprinkles in there. I predict this is going to be my favorite one. Predict. Let's break that word down. Before, dict, careful how you say that, means to say, dict. Like a dictionary is a book with a lot of words that you might say. So predict means to say before it happens. I predict this will be my favorite one of the 3. And it is good. It definitely has that super sweetness of a birthday cake with frosting. I know my wife and my son do not like overly sweet things, so they might not like this one, but I do. I like sugar. I like this one. And the last one, the Duos one, the dark chocolate and the mint mixed together. When you see duo or duet, think of two. A duet is a group of two people who sing, and you might know Batman and Robin. They are often called the dynamic duo. Smells good. If you go to a fancy American restaurant, at the end of the meal, they might give you some Andes mints. It's a name brand of some of these mints, and they are chocolate with mint. You might also hear of the flavor grasshopper. That is chocolate and mint in the United States. And this kind of smells like one of those Andes mints. And look, it's like a mint green on the top and chocolate on the bottom. All right, let's dig in. The mint is kind of subtle. It's not that strong, subtle. It has a silent B, subtle. It's not bad. To be honest, mint and chocolate is not my favorite thing. It reminds me a little bit of brushing my teeth because of the mintiness. Jamie really likes mint, so I think she will like these the best. This is probably my least favorite of the three. And if you want more work with least and most, I got a video right up there where I do a lesson from a berry farm. I go to the farm and pick blueberries. I hope you like this video. It's a little bit different. I tried one before where I ate ice cream with my wife, Jamie. Bob the Canadian made an appearance. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with someone who likes candy or is learning English. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Hello, Brent here from American English with this guy, coming at you with another English lesson. Today I have something a little different. This is an actual lesson I taught to my own students here in the United States. And I'm just about to go into school to teach. I'm here very early. I like being here early. It's very cold. The sun isn't even up. But this lesson will help you study English with a real American English teacher, but it also will prepare you if you're trying to take the IELTS exam or the TOEFL exam. It's hard to tell what is going to be on those tests for words, but one sure thing is that those words will contain Latin and Greek roots, and that's what I focus on in this lesson. And as a bonus, if you check the description box, there will be a study guide, a guide to help you study, and also a practice test that you can take. Just check the description box and you will see those links. So I'm in my classroom now. I hope you enjoy the lesson. Maybe grab some paper, pencil, take some notes, rewind the video if you don't understand something. And don't forget to take that practice test. Use that study guide. Enjoy. Hey, I think we're recording. What I want to do is talk about the words that hopefully you've been studying over the last week or so. And those come from a list that I'm calling phobia and file. Remember, phobia, something you're scared of. File, something you really love. So what I want to do is just take a look at those words, alphabetical order, give the definition, maybe put it in a sentence or type of situation that we might use that word. maybe one you'll find on the test. I don't know. So the first one right up here, acrophobia. I'm hoping, without even looking at the definition, you hear phobia. So you're thinking, okay, fear of something. And you can see this little puppy dog. Oh, he's high up. Luckily, just a stuffed dog. But that is the fear of heights. So very common. A lot of people are acrophobic. That is the adjective we would use to, excuse me, to describe a person who is afraid of heights. They are acrophobic, or they have acrophobia. The next one, arachnophobia. Arachnophobia, quite common. Fear of spiders. Not sure if you have acrophobia. I'm not a big fan of spiders. I guess it depends on the spider. If it was a huge, like, desert spider, actually, my sister owns a camp on a lake, and they have what's called dock spiders that live in their dock. They're huge too, near the water dock where they leave their boat. I have a little bit of arachnophobia when I'm around those type of spiders. That's for sure. Number 3 is bibliophile. Bibliophile. When you see file, I'm hoping you're thinking love of something. Biblio. It comes from the Latin. And in fact, in French, a bibliothèque is a library. So biblio means book. So this is someone who loves books. I hope you are a bibliophile, because in English class, we read every day. So hopefully you're a bibliophile. If you are, you probably really like this class. If you're a bibliophobe, see, that's not one of our words, but you could change it. If you fear books, you would have bibliophobia. I hope you don't have a fear of books. But if you do, you probably hate this class. The next one is pretty fun to say in my book. I feel this is pretty fun to say. Cacophony. Cacophony. And this is just a loud group of sounds. You can see that picture there. A band who isn't very good, and they're all playing their instruments at a different time. That might be a cacophony. So it's a bunch of different sounds that are really annoying. A cacophony. Man, let's say there's an earthquake. Hopefully we never experience that. But if the earthquake was shifting the room and everything was falling off the shelves, well, that would be a cacophony. Probably not a lot of fun to hear. The next one, chronic. Chronic means happening for a long time. We sometimes will say this about pain. Oh man, I have chronic headaches, meaning I get them a lot. Chronic back pain. Maybe someone is chronically late for class, means happening often, and that would not be good. Hopefully you're not chronically late. Confide, the next one. Confide. It is a verb, something you do, and that is when you tell someone something very personal. You confide in them. You confide in them. So maybe you have a best friend. Hopefully you do. One that you can share anything with, and you could confide in that person. Or your parents. Most teenagers don't confide in their parents, but hopefully you are one of the rare ones that feel comfortable confiding to your parents. The next one is foresight. Foresight. So the way I think of this is like before foresight. And you can see this person right here has a crystal ball. They are looking into the future. So if somebody could literally look into the future, they would have some pretty good foresight. But, that's not very common. But you could say, man, just knowing something is going to happen before it happens. That means you would have really good foresight. Let's say you have a big project coming up on Friday, and on Monday, you start thinking about how you're going to go about finishing that project. you have pretty good foresight. Like it's not going to sneak up on you, that project. You are going to plan ahead for something that's you think is going to happen in the future. So somebody my age at 45, if I had good foresight, I would be planning for my retirement. Unfortunately, or fortunately, my retirement isn't probably for another 20 years. But if you're planning for something that you think is going to happen, it means you have good foresight. Okay, hope that. Maybe this is a bit early for you, but if you're thinking about college, trying to get those good grades, and maybe you don't have to go to college. I'm not saying you have to, but a lot of people that is a goal. So maybe you're starting right now with getting those really good grades, coming to school every day, coming to school on time. You're not chronically absent. Means you have good foresight. You're planning for the future. The next one, fortnight. No, for English class, it's not a game, console game, mobile game, PC game. No, a fortnight. It's kind of rare these days. It was rare before the game came out, but it means a 2-week period. I think more common in England, I think, but it's good to know. It does come up in literature sometimes. It definitely comes up in Shakespeare. If in high school you ever read Shakespeare, you might come into contact with fortnight. But I get paid once a fortnight. Like not many people would use that term, but I get paid every 2 weeks. So fortnight, a period of 2 weeks, quite rare. And I don't know, fort usually means strong. When you see something like a fortification, fortified, here it doesn't mean strong. I'm not sure where this word comes from, but just know a fortnight is a 2-week period. And when you get a job, you might be paid once a fortnight, every 2 weeks. The next one, a heliophile. Helio comes from the Greek, meaning sun. Phile, we know, love. So this is someone who loves the sun. Maybe they really love going to the beach and getting all that sun. They might have a lot of cancer. Heliophiles might have cancer, but also a heliophile might be a person. There are a few of these who have enough money who will travel the world to see solar eclipses. Those things are rare, but if they have enough money, they might travel the world chasing solar eclipses. Right. Hope that one helps there. Lucid. Lucid. This means your mind is clear. Lucid. Sometimes you have lucid dreams. Like they're so clear, it feels like you're awake. We refer to older people sometimes when they're losing their mind, their memory isn't so great, they would not be lucid. We would refer to older people who are lucid, meaning they have all of their memories. They're really still pretty sharp, lucid. If you're going into surgery, right, you want to be put to sleep. You want to feel no pain. You do not want to be lucid while people are operating on you, I would think, right? You want to be put under. You don't want to be lucid. I hope you're not one of these people, but necrophobic. It's not the worst thing, I guess. Better than being necrophile, meaning you love death. I would worry about you there. But if you have an irrational fear of death, that might mean you can't leave the house. You're so afraid something is going to happen to you. So necro, anytime you see that, it means death, dead, necro. Necrophobic, you probably hate Halloween. That is a holiday where there's just death all around, skeletons, ghosts. Necrophobic, fear of death. Necrophile, you love death. That's troubling as well. But I hope that you can live a normal life without just this fear of dying all the time. Must be a horrible way to live. Yeah. Real quick story about necro. How do we say it? So in San Francisco, it's extremely expensive city, and it's so expensive that like there are no cemeteries in San Francisco anymore. You have to be buried somewhere else. If you die in San Francisco, you have to be buried somewhere else. And there's a necropolis, a necropolis. Acropolis means city in Greek. And so a necropolis is a city of death. Necropolis. It's basically very few people live in this city. I forgot the name, right outside of San Francisco, but it's like hundreds of thousands of people are buried there. It's a whole cemetery of cities, and it's called a necropolis. Necropolis. Necro. Retrophile is the next one. Retro meaning back in time. Retro. At the end of a year, there's often a retrospective. I think we've talked about that in this class. Retrospective. Remember spec like spectacles. Spec meaning to look. Retro meaning to look back. So in December of 2020, there were a lot of retrospectives about the coronavirus, about probably all the cancellations, maybe the protests during the summer. Retrospective. That's when you look back on time, often at the end of the year. If you're a retrophile, maybe you love listening to music on vinyl. Maybe you like records. You don't like streaming. You would be a retrophile. If you've ever seen the show The Goldbergs and you really like that time they're living in the 80s, and sometimes you wish you could go back and live in the 80s, you might be a retrophile. Retrophile. If you think the 1970s or the 1980s are the best time to live, you're probably a retrophile. Up top here, that's number 13, rigid, very stiff, rigid, not flexible. So I hope that you don't have teachers that are rigid, that aren't very flexible. With me, if you turn in an assignment late, well, it's all good. I don't take any points off. I'm pretty flexible in that respect. But if I was rigid, I would say, no, hey, due date here, turn in late, I don't count it, 0 points. I'm not that. I'm a little bit more flexible. So I think most of the time you like people, teachers and parents who aren't exactly rigid. Super strict maybe would be a close synonym. Rigid. You want a little bit of flexibility. Rules can be rigid, not very flexible. Speeding. I mean, if you're going like 90 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, I don't think the police officer who hopefully stops you and saves a lot of other people's lives, I don't think they're going to be very flexible. I think they're going to be pretty rigid. And I think they might say to you, yeah, we're going down to the station. Get my handcuffs, cuffing you, putting you in the back. Yeah, you're coming with me. It's crazy. You can't go 90 in a 25. They're not going to be very flexible with you. The next one is a tariff. Think of this one like a tax. So it's extra money that has to be paid, and tariffs are usually put on goods coming from another country. And why the US government does that is it tries to get Americans to buy American goods. So let's talk about Japan. Japan is known for making really good cars. In fact, my wife and I own 2 cars from Japan. Yeah, we own Toyotas. They're very good cars. But if and sometimes Toyotas are actually made in the United States, at least some of the parts are. But anyway, let's say there is a car from Japan. It's a Toyota, but it's usually more than one. But let's say there's one Toyota car made entirely in Japan, and it comes over to the US. Well, the US has cars made here too. Ford, Chevy, American cars. So when that Toyota comes over, the American government might put a tariff on that. So maybe it's $10,000, but the Ford is $12,000. So there might be a tariff put on that car to make people think a little bit about buying a Japanese car or an American car, because that tariff is an extra tax added on. Probably the government gets it. I don't know who gets tariffs for the most part. I think it might be the government. I think the government gets most of the money. So that would be a tariff. When goods are brought into this country, oftentimes a tariff is put on them just so Americans have to think, okay, what do I want to buy? Do I want to stick with American? Oftentimes at least the Japanese cars are often made a little bit better and they're a little bit cheaper. They might last a little bit longer. That's just my opinion though, just my opinion. You may have some parents that are fiercely loyal to their Chevys, to their Fords, but I kind of like the Toyotas. And the last one, umbrophile. Umbrophile. Like we talked about with heliophiles, those people love the sun. And sometimes they will follow eclipses. But for the true lovers of eclipses, we have umbrophile. Umbra also comes from the Latin, meaning shadow. Think about an umbrella. Umbrella. You put it up, you might be blocking yourself from the rain, but if there is a lot of sun, you might see somebody carrying an umbrella to create a shadow around them so that they don't get skin cancer. Yeah, skin cancer is not very fun. Heliophiles, remember, if they're always chasing the sun, going to the beach, yeah, put your sunscreen on. All right, that is our 15 words here for the next week. Of course, if you have any questions about them, let me know. Hope this helped. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and then I'm going to hit the end. So I'm not recording anymore. Hope this helps. See you next time. Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is American English with this guy. I'm this guy. My name is Brent. I've been an English teacher in the United States for 20 years, and the goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. And the goal of today's video is to tell you a story. This is a story about something that happened when I was 10 years old, and it is a day that I will never forget. I think every generation has that one big event that makes the news, and they just will remember where they were when they first heard the news. I know one of those days in the United States is 9/11 or September 11th when the Twin Towers came down, and I'll probably do a video on that a little bit later in the year because it will be 20 years ago this year. I'm filming it in 2021. For my parents, I believe it was the Kennedy assassination. President Kennedy. He was one of our presidents in the early 1960s. And my mom was about 16 years old. And she told me she remembers right where she was when she heard about President Kennedy being assassinated. And assassinated is a big word that we use when someone is murdered, but they are a higher rank. They're a famous celebrity, or maybe they were killed for political reasons. So the Kennedy assassination is something that's talked about quite a bit with my parents' generation. So she was born in the 1940s, and she told me that she would follow the news that whole week. The assassination happened in the middle of the week, maybe on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I can't quite remember, but she told me that she was watching TV live on a Sunday morning, watching the coverage of the news when she saw this guy who killed President Kennedy. His name was Lee Harvey Oswald. He was killed, murdered on live TV, and that is a day she'll never forget. Well, the day that I will never forget is called the Challenger disaster. So I'm 10 years old. I'm in the 4th grade. And the Challenger was a space, what do we call it? A space shuttle. Yeah, we call it a space shuttle that would bring astronauts up above the Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't one of those that would go to the moon. That was something different. But a space shuttle was a spaceship that could be reused. So NASA, that's our space agency here in the United States. NASA had 4 or 5 of these space shuttles, and one of them was called the Challenger. And we didn't watch the shuttles go up all that much because they were going up all the time. But this launch was special because on that space shuttle was a school teacher. And I live in Maine. I lived in Maine at the time when I was in 4th grade. And she, one of the teachers, the only teacher actually, going up, she was the only person on the shuttle that was not an astronaut, that hadn't trained for years to go up in this space shuttle. So she was a teacher. She went through some training, but not she was a teacher. So NASA picked her and said, hey, do you want to go up on this shuttle mission? And she said yes. So being from Maine, she's from New Hampshire. It's just the state over. I'm in school. It made really big news. So a lot of students watched that space shuttle go up. For some reason, my class didn't. I don't know why. But the launch happened in the morning. I do know that. And I was kind of curious. I remember thinking we would watch it, and my teacher never brought in the TV. Back in the 80s, this happened in 86. So it's actually 35 years ago today when I'm releasing this video, January 28th, 1986. So again, I'm 10 years old in the 4th grade. And my teacher we just have a normal morning. I knew the shuttle was going up. I wanted to see it, but what could I do? I was 10 years old. My teacher didn't bring in the TV. We're just kind of going about our normal day. So we go out to recess for lunch. And recess is this thing we call in the United States where students take a break and they can go outside and play if the weather's all right. I'm a teacher now. You may know that. I think I actually said it at the beginning of this video. And we do have recess where I teach. But as long as it's above 20 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's less than 20 degrees Fahrenheit, we have to stay in. Well, back in the 80s, I don't know what the temperature was that day, but we went outside. I had fun. I'm sure I played. I don't remember that part of the day. I'm getting to the part of the day that I do remember. So we come in from recess. We've had our lunch. And I remember, this is the part I remember. I remember my teacher walking in and saying, well, I'm sure you've all heard the Challenger exploded. All right, let's get out our math books or something like that. But I remember sitting in my seat. His name's Mr. Marshall. I remember the teacher. I actually worked with him years later at the middle school I went to as a teacher. I went to college. I came back and we actually worked together. I've always wanted to ask him, why did we not watch the shuttle? And then why did you just tell us? Why did you think we all knew the shuttle exploded? So that was a huge thing. A teacher from the next state over died. The Challenger exploded. And he just comes into the room oh, I'm sure you've heard that. No, can you tell me more? But here I am, just a little 10-year-old, and I think I opened my math book. I'm not sure if it was math that we went to, but it was just, yeah, let's get on with our day. All right, we have something else to do. And so I'm kind of on the verge of tears. That's a good term to use when like you're almost crying, you're on the verge of tears. But I didn't dare say anything. Like I should have raised my hand and like, could you explain? Like that wasn't supposed to happen. And so it made really big news that a teacher, whoever was on board that space shuttle, that would have made major news. 7 astronauts were killed shortly after liftoff. That's a phrasal verb we use for lift off or blast off when a space shuttle or spaceship goes up into the air. That would have been big news anyways. I don't know if it was big news around the world. I don't even know if you were born when this happened, 1986, but it was huge news in the United States. And I had to wait a couple hours before I could get home. I had to ride the bus home. We didn't have cell phones back then. I waited for like 2 hours. So many questions in my mind. I probably couldn't concentrate much on my schoolwork. And so I remember I finally got home to my mom. I was like, what happened? What happened? And so the news just kept replaying the explosion. I mean, it happened on live TV. The world was watching. There were a lot of people, a lot of little kids in the United States in their classrooms, definitely in Maine and New Hampshire where I live. She was kind of a local celebrity. But I got home and I think I spent the whole night just watching the news coverage of the shuttle blowing up, really. Years later, I guess the shuttle didn't actually blow up, but if you go back and you watch some of that footage, it really does look like the shuttle blew up. And for a while, NASA, they had 2 more or 3 more space shuttles that were working. And later on, so they took a break. They took a break and figured out what happened. And then years later, the shuttles would be going up and another one was lost called Columbia. Columbia was another shuttle that was lost. NASA is no longer using shuttles to bring astronauts up into space. There is now the International Space Station. You may have heard of that. That's what we call it, or sometimes the ISS. And a lot of times my family and I will go out, look at the sky, because you can find on the internet when the ISS will be flying by. And it looks like a really bright star, only it just flies by pretty quickly. And I know for a long time, NASA didn't even have a way to get astronauts to the International Space Station. They had to pay, it might have been a Chinese agency or a Russian agency to have their American astronauts get up to the space station. I think that's changed by then. But that's just one day, one point of time in my life that I will never forget. I need to break in here for a second because as I'm editing this video, I never asked you, what is one moment, what's one big piece of news that you will always remember where you were when you heard that news? Please leave a comment in the comment section. I'm curious. All right, back to the story. I'm sure we have them. A couple other ones I remember when I was 5 years old. President Reagan, another one of our presidents, 1980, I'm almost sure. He had an attempted assassination. So somebody literally tried to kill him. He survived, but I do remember that day. I remember, I don't even think I was in school yet, or I had the day off from school because I watched the news. My mom let me watch the news, and I remember my dad was at work, and I couldn't wait for him to come home so that I could tell him the president, has been shot. Again, cell phones in 1980, it was harder to get news. I don't know if he had heard the news in his truck when he was working. I'm sure it was everywhere. It's unlikely that I was the first to tell him looking back, but at the time I really wanted to be the first to tell him. I also remember that same year, again, I was 5, or right before, I think I was 4, right before I turned 5 in 1980, John Lennon was assassinated. I think we would call him being assassinated a celebrity. I think he was definitely murdered, but I think we might even say he was assassinated. So I remember that day very well, and even at 4 or 5 years old, I started getting into what's my favorite group now, the Beatles. So I hope this has helped with your English learning. You heard someone tell a story. I told it maybe a little bit more clearly than I would, maybe a little bit more slowly than I would if it was a native speaker. But I hope I used enough kind of natural ways in my conversation to let you become a little bit better with your listening comprehension. I have made another video called When We Lost Power. I'll leave a link to it right up there. If you enjoyed this type of lesson, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely make more. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Oh no, you just found out you have a Zoom call coming up in English. What are you gonna do? Freak out? No, don't freak out. Watch this video because in this lesson, I am going to give you some tips, some phrases you can use to help your English for the next Zoom call. I am Brent. This is American English with this guy. I've been an English teacher in the United States for 20 years, and the goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. I release new lessons each week, go live to answer your questions each week, so hit that subscribe button so you never miss another English lesson. All right, the Zoom is about to start. We should probably talk about greetings in English first, right? Probably not. There is usually a problem with the technology, so let's talk about that first. So let's talk about tech, trouble. Those are all the things that can go wrong even before your Zoom begins. Maybe you can see the person on the screen, but you can't hear them. You can say something like that, "Hey, I'm sorry, we can see you, but we can't hear you." Maybe they are on mute. And there is a function on Zoom that you can hit and it will mute you so nobody can hear you. Make sure if that is happening to you, you check the mute button. I don't know, is it mute in every language? If it is, then that's pretty easy. If not, we call it mute in English. You could also say, "I don't think your mic is working." Mic, we shorten microphone to mic quite a bit. Or you could simply say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but there's no sound." Or maybe there is sound, but the speech is a little messed up. It's not quite working. You can say, "Hey, your speech is a little garbled." Garbled, that's a term we often use when you can hear some of the words, but not all of the words. Garbled. What if the opposite is true? You can hear the person, but you can't see them. You could say, "Hey, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Are you sure you have your camera on?" In English, for some reason, we will shorten microphone to mic, but we don't often shorten camera to cam. And since this is a family-friendly channel, I won't go into why, but it has something to do with more adult things. Lag can sometimes be a problem. I think your camera is lagging. Lagging means it's a little bit slow. We sometimes use this word lagging outside of technology to describe something that is a little slow or a little bit behind. Maybe in your English class, there are some students who don't understand English as quickly as you do. You can describe them as lagging behind. The same can be true for video. If anything is slow with technology, you can describe it as lagging. Maybe the page isn't loading as quickly as you would like. You can say, "Oh man, I've got some lag." The internet is just not as quick as you would like. If the video isn't quite clear, you can call it blurry or fuzzy. "I'm sorry, we can't quite see you. Your video is a little blurry. Your video is a little fuzzy." Sometimes you will be in a meeting where not everyone arrives at the same time. You might be in the room waiting with another person. Before everyone arrives, you might engage in what we call small talk or chit chat. One very easy thing to talk about when you're just chit-chatting or engaging in small talk is the weather. And you might comment, wow, it's been really cold lately, huh? I can't believe it how hot it's been. When are we finally going to get some good weather? Can you believe the weather we've been having lately? It's been so beautiful. If the meeting is casual, you can always say, hey, what's up? That is a real short way, common way to ask someone how they are, how they've been doing, what's been going on. Hey, what's up? A very common answer to, hey, what's up is not much. You? If it's a business meeting, you might want to stay away from what's up. But you can always ask someone about their family. Hey, how's your family doing? People love to talk about their family. Well, at least most of the time. If you know the names of their family. Oh, how's your wife, Jane? How's your husband, Bill? It's always nice to add someone's name. You never want to get too personal if you're responding to this question. You might just say, oh yeah, they're fine. The kids are doing great. Yeah, my wife is really happy at work. Things have been going well. Keep it positive. Most people, when they are in a business meeting, they don't want to hear about the negative. One thing that often happens during Zoom meetings is interrupting. And people aren't rude when they do it. It's just sometimes hard to communicate with this technology. If you're talking at the same time as another person, but you want them to continue, you will be quiet and wait until they are finished. One thing you can say is, no, sorry, you go ahead. That's letting the person know, oh, continue talking. I'll be quiet. No, it's okay. You go. That's another way to tell the person, keep talking. I'm quiet. If two people are talking, but they want you to go, a real easy phrase to say is, oh, I was going to say, and then you say what you were going to say. Oh, I was going to say, I was going to say, but we shorten it to, I was going to say, gonna. I was going to say. At the end of a meeting, we often say thank you to the person who invited us to the Zoom call. Thanks so much. Thanks for the invite. That's another thing you can say. I got so much out of this meeting. That means you learned a lot while you were in that meeting. Even if you didn't, sometimes it's just nice to say, oh, thanks. I got so much out of this. Thanks for inviting me. See you next time is another great thing to say because it lets that person know you would like to meet again. It was fun or it was informative. Informative is a good way to say that there was a lot of information in that meeting. If you are looking for more videos about American culture, there is a playlist right up there where I visit a bunch of stores and an American school. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Hello and welcome back to another video. This is American English with this guy. I am this guy. My name is Brent. I've been an English teacher in the United States for 20 years. The goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. And the goal of today's video is to give you 6 phrasal verbs that will help you sound more natural when you speak English. Notice I didn't say native. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you will know that I really believe you should sound like you. If you're from Russia, you should sound Russian when you speak English. If you are from Iran, you should sound Iranian when you speak English. Don't lose your accent, but when speaking with someone, you might want to sound a little more natural. And these phrasal verbs are used all the time in the United States. They aren't really slang, but they're pretty close to being slang. There's no real way to translate any of these. So what I would like to do is tell you what the phrasal verb is, followed by some examples you can use in everyday conversation. The first one is actually 2. They mean the same thing. It's wait up and hold up. Wait up, hold up. We will often say this when we can't believe somebody just said something. For instance, the Super Bowl is coming up in the United States. not too far away, about a week from when I'm filming this. And if somebody tells you, hey, guess what? They just canceled the Super Bowl. You could be like, wait up, hold up. What did you just say? Hold up, wait up. It means, did I hear you correctly? Also, did you just hear how I used, you could be like, that means you could say. You could be like, it's kind of fast. You could be like, I don't even know where that comes from. That doesn't even say like, you could say this, but that's what it means. You could be like, hold up, what did you just say? Wait up, what did you just say? So anytime you don't understand someone and you want to sound kind of natural, you could be like, hold up, what did you say? Hold up, what did you say? Wait up, what did you say? You can actually use these two to ask someone to stop. So let's say you're at a store with a friend and you want to look at something, but they keep moving. You could say, hold up, I want to just check this out, if that's okay. I want to look at this, if you don't mind. I want to check this out. Maybe you're walking in the mall with a friend. You know, there's a whole row of stores, and as you two are walking, you may see a store that you want to look at. You can say to that friend, hold up, let's go in here. Let's check it out. Check it out. It means let's look, see what they have. We just covered two of them. I hope I repeated enough for you. They are a little bit difficult. And then I snuck in a couple other phrasal verbs. Oh, I just did another one too. Snuck in. I didn't plan on explaining those two. I just mentioned them. I snuck them in. And then I just mentioned another one. Snuck in. It's hard to speak English without using phrasal verbs all the time. Sorry. That's why nobody likes phrasal verbs. They make English so hard. But keep watching the channel. I'll keep explaining these phrasal verbs. Maybe subscribe so you never miss another lesson. The next one I want to talk about is blow off. Blow off. We use this when we don't go to a place we're supposed to go. Maybe you had an appointment. Maybe you had to go to work, but then you called in sick. There's another phrasal verb. You called in sick. That means you are blowing off work if you're not really sick. If you're really sick, then you're calling in sick. But if you are calling in sick to go to the beach and you don't want your boss to know, you're blowing off work for the day. Let's say you had a date with someone and it didn't go too well. It was a first date. But at the end of the date, they say, hey, do you want to go out again? And you say, yes. And then another date is planned, but then you call and cancel, or you don't even call. You don't even let them know you don't want to go on that date. And they show up to the restaurant maybe. You would be blowing them off. You might get a call or a text the next day and they might ask, hey, why'd you blow me off? You were supposed to be there. Then you have to come up with some excuse why you didn't want to go on a date with that person. The next one I want to talk about is calm down. You can say this to someone who is a little too angry. Maybe they are a little too excited. Maybe they have too much energy for you. Maybe you're tired and they are just bouncing off the walls. That's another term we use when someone has a lot of energy. You can say, hey, calm down. Calm down. Don't get so worked up. I didn't even plan on talking about that one. Worked up. Worked up is when someone gets really excited. They could be mad or they could be just really happy. They're worked up. Maybe something cool, nice, awesome is happening for them. Hey, don't get so worked up. Calm down. Let's go back to that date that didn't happen. You can imagine if you are waiting around for a person to show up. Can you hear my family? Like so much banging going on. Okay, I don't want to get too worked up. I need to calm down, but I don't know why it's so loud. Hopefully this microphone can't pick up all the noise that's going. Oh, pick up. There's another phrasal verb. The microphone picking up the sound that's going on. Hopefully it's picking up my voice. I hope it's not picking up all of the stomping that's going on upstairs. Can you hear it? If someone is getting really excited or angry, they're getting worked up. You might try to settle them, calm them by saying, hey, calm down. It's not that bad. I hope this is helping. I hope I'm not opening up a can of worms. That's what we sometimes say when we make something too complicated. I had a list of 5 or 6 to explain, but as I'm talking, I keep explaining more. It's a can of worms for sure, but English is just full of phrasal verbs, and this is probably one reason why everyone hates phrasal verbs. They're just the worst. The last one I want to talk about is chip in or help out. They mean the same thing. So let's say your mom is having a birthday and you have some brothers and sisters. Maybe you all chip in to get her a gift. Everyone contributes a little bit of money to buy a bigger gift. Everyone chips in a little money. We just had a big snowstorm in my area, and my neighbor across the street is in his 90s. He's too old to shovel snow, so me and 2 of my neighbors chipped in to shovel his driveway and his walkway. So when you're chipping into something, you might be adding money or time to the bigger project. If there was anything confusing in this lesson, leave a comment with your question and I will help you out. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Let's learn some English with Super Bowl commercials. The great thing about commercials is that they are made for that moment in time. So they are going to be using current language that most Americans are using right now. So they will often contain a lot of slang, a lot of current phrasal verbs, terms that you can use in your everyday English. So if you are ready to learn some English, I am ready to teach some English. Let's do it. Okay, here we have an American actor named Will Ferrell. You might know him. This is going to be a car commercial, if I remember correctly.
Did you know that Norway sells way more electric cars per capita than the US? Norway. Well, I won't stand for it.
All right, did you hear what he said there? I won't stand for it. We also might use that phrasal verb put up with it. It just means if someone is trying to do something bad to you, you're going to defend yourself. You won't stand for it. You won't put up with it. And apparently Will Ferrell is very upset that Norway is making more cars, electric cars, than we are. He's also going to say per capita. And that means obviously Norway has fewer people than the United States, but apparently they are producing or using more electric cars per person, like per 100 people than Americans are. So he seems very upset about this.
Never mind. With GM's new Ultium battery, we're gonna crush those losers.
Dad joke there. He does a pun. He says a pun, and he wants to do 2 things at the same time. Call them losers, which are people who never win, a loser. And then he also says something about the sport of losing, a loser. So someone who is a loser, I don't know if that's a real word in English, but I know the sport of luge is like bobsledding. And I'm pretty sure Norway is good at it. So I think that's why he says that kind of lame dad joke. Come on, Will Ferrell, you're better than that.
Crush them! Let's go, America. Keenan, Norway's out EVing us. What's this?
Oh, it's my daughter's birthday.
All right, the first time, I don't think this is a term used in English. The first time I watched this commercial, I was like, EVing, what does that mean? And I don't know if Will Ferrell made this up for the commercial or whatever, but it means like electric vehicle. GM, the car company, they might have made that up. They might have invented this for this commercial. Never heard of EVing, but he will say it a couple times.
She's really into pirates.
I don't care. Grab an EV, meet me in Norway.
Okay, can I say goodbye to my family?
Nope.
All right.
That guy, I think he's also on Saturday Night Live, which is where Will Ferrell started. It's kind of a famous show in the United States on Saturday nights each week, and it's live.
Aquafina, sorry to disturb you, but Norway's beating us at EVs.
Okay, what they just said there, that little kids will often say that. Instead of no, you might hear them say nuh-uh, and instead of yes, you might hear them say So little kids on the playground, when they get into a fight, they might say that and that's Aquafina. I think another famous American actress. I don't know. I don't know her, but I think she's famous, or she wouldn't be in this commercial.
Meet me there in an hour.
Can I ride with you?
No. GM's Ultium battery is made for all types of vehicles, so soon everyone can drive an EV. Whoa.
Why don't we all just go together?
Knowing Will is probably flying private.
All right, a couple things there. Flying private. It just means he has his own plane with his own pilot. The opposite of flying private is flying commercial, which is how probably most of us fly, with other people on the plane. Private means you own it. Let's talk about what he's doing over the side of the boat or off the side of the boat. Both prepositions work. We could say that he is hurling. There's some slang for that. He's tossing his cookies. He's puking, or he's upchucking. There's a couple nice ways to say he's throwing up. Throwing up's probably the most common. But he is seasick. That's what we call it when you're on a boat and it's rocking back and forth and you throw up. Seasick. He's seasick.
Hey, Norway, listen up, you fish-loving. This place is adorable. Damn it. Where are you guys?
We're in Finland. Where are you?
I'm in Norway.
Norway? You're in Sweden.
Damn it.
Okay, a couple things. Scandinavia is what we call basically those countries they just talked about. It's like Finland. Talk about Finland in a minute. Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, sometimes Iceland, called Scandinavia. But I know not a lot of people from this channel watch from Norway or Sweden or Denmark. It seems most people in those countries just know how to speak English. I don't know. Really good English speakers. Might be a couple Finnish viewers. How are you doing? But the Finnish language is not at all like Swedish or Danish, just in case you don't know. So maybe the people at GM, they should have done their research. I know those countries are close together on the map, but Finland, the language isn't even the same. But I guess maybe they're all snowy countries and their flags kind of look like the same thing. So maybe that's why they confused those three nations.
How did a blind man conquer Mount Everest? How did a kid who loved NASCAR, just know in his heart, one day he'd win the Brickyard in Daytona 500?
Did you hear what the narrator said? He knew in his heart. That's just another way to say he really believed in something. He thought that it was going to come true.
How did an underdog, always counted out, take down the biggest name in the UFC?
Underdog. If there is a game, a match, a battle, the underdog is the person or the side that you don't think will win.
How? They all believe. They believe in themselves, and they believe that their dreams, their goals in life were more than just imaginable. They were possible. For those who believe in their dream of a new home, Guaranteed Rate is a mortgage lender with all the right tools, advice, and financing to
Guaranteed rate, just talking about money there, how much you will have to spend. But guaranteed is another way to say promised. It's going to be there. No doubt about it.
make that dream a reality. Home office, backyard, more space, better view. Whatever you're striving for, you can make it happen. You can conquer that mountain. You can. If you believe, you will.
Ah, the backyard. It's had quite a year. I say, let's keep this backyard thing going. That's why Scott's and Miracle Grow want to give you a chance to win the lawn and garden of your dreams.
Like mine. You know, just not better than.
Okay, that woman right there, also a famous American. Her name is Martha Stewart. And a few years ago, she got in trouble, I believe, had to go to jail for a little bit. But she does a lot of cooking and gardening, and she likes her things to be perfect. Americans, I don't know how it is in your country, but a lot of Americans will spend a lot of money making their lawn look really green. And that is what this product is trying to sell. I think it's something you spread on your lawn and the grass will grow really green.
Mine.
Like mine, where you can work on your short game.
Stanley from The Office, if you're a fan of The Office.
Like mine.
Oh, it's a little close. Oh!
It only turns left.
Come on, Les.
Okay, so that guy, I think his name is Kurt Busch. I could be wrong, but he's a NASCAR driver here in the United States, and he says his car only turns left. And if you think about a racetrack, like an oval racetrack, they never make a right turn. So a lot of American motorsports, NASCAR is probably the biggest, and they just often go around in a circle. No right turns. I don't know who this woman is. She must be some kind of fitness expert.
Crush your core.
I don't crush you.
Crush your core. That means the center of your body, like your abs, your abdominal muscle. If I had abdominal muscles, I might show you, but it's the muscles in your stomach. So the core, your center part of your body, crush it means you're really working it out.
Come on.
Dad, it's the red one.
I know.
The other red one.
I know.
Feeling good, like I should.
Right? That's typical, right? Teenage daughter trying to tell the dad how to do it. He knew. He was getting it. He was going to do it.
He still got it.
So text me now and win the lawn and garden of your dreams.
Hey, Travolta's, don't be tickety talking on my grass.
Feeling blessed.
You can dance though, right? You can dance.
Tony Bolonovich here. People call me the king of cold cuts. The sandwich business has been real good to me. But now I got this Jimmy's John showing up on my turf. I'm Jimmy's John's, and I have high quality, reasonably priced.
He used like turf. I don't know. Actually, in the last commercial, you could have used turf for the green part. If it wasn't grass, you definitely could call it turf. Sometimes grass is called turf as well. But the way this guy used it in this commercial, it means like his neighborhood. I guess he thinks he controls a part of the neighborhood. So he might say, it's my turf. And this guy has an American accent that some people might, probably wrongly, but they might think he was into crime. He might be a criminal. That's not true for everybody. But if you listen to, he has an accent like we would call maybe like a mobster. It's an older accent that you might hear in New York or New Jersey. If anybody is watching from New York or New Jersey, I know the amount of criminals in New York and New Jersey, the same all the way around the world, but that accent kind of has like a crime thing to it.
Sandwiches, big deal. You got all natural meats.
Big deal. Some people in the United States will say, big deal, if you really don't care about something. So maybe you're jealous of your neighbor and they just got a nice new fancy car and they want to show it to you and you don't want to see it. You might say, big deal. I don't care about that. That would be very mean, but I could see some neighbors saying that, big deal, big deal. So what? You know English, big deal. Hey, congratulations. I'm glad you're learning English here on this channel. Thank you.
Sliced by hand. I got turkey and ham made by science. I'm good. I'm coming from the Jimmy's John's. This is war. Sandwich war.
And Jimmy John's, I don't think it's all around the world. I don't have one where I live, but in some parts of the United States, it's kind of like a Subway, Jimmy John's. I think the owner got into trouble also. I think he went to some African safari and killed a lion or a giraffe or something. He took a picture. And a lot of, I don't know if he still owns that company. There was a little problem the owner got into, I think, a while back, a few years ago.
So, you're going to buy the car?
Please, if I could just go home and discuss things with my wife. I've been here all weekend.
You can leave anytime you want.
Okay, I think what he had, so he had jumper cables. That guy this guy must have been having some kind of dream, forcing him to buy a car. But those were jumper cables he had. Let's see what's happening here.
Never go to a dealership again.
Well, I was painless.
Go to vroom.com, buy a car, and we'll deliver it contact free.
All right, I don't think that commercial was very good, but a dealership is a place that you might buy a car dealership. He also said painless. Be careful of that suffix, less, at the end of a word. It often means without. So painless, it would literally mean without pain.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
All right, right now. If you're under 21, if this looks like it's a commercial for alcohol, please do not drink. If you're in a country where alcohol cannot be consumed, please, maybe skip ahead. I think this is about a 30-second commercial. But for Super Bowl commercials, often beer companies will have the most ads.
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
2020 was a lemon of a year.
All right, so here's a little bit of slang, but it comes from cars, actually, like the last commercial. If a car is always breaking down, if it always needs to be fixed, we sometimes call it a lemon. And so they just said that 2020 handed us a lot of lemons. You could say it handed us a lot of bad things. Bob the Canadian, I believe, did a video about this saying in English: when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. So when bad things come to you, turn them around, make them better. So when life hands you lemons, make lemonade, make a good thing out of a bunch of bad things. That's what that means. And so I think they're trying to get you to buy alcohol, talking about lemons. Don't buy alcohol, especially if you're underage. Underage is what we say for anyone who is too young to legally drink. In the United States, the drinking age is 21.
That's a lot of lemons.
Well, you know what they say, when life gives you lemons.
We know the saying, Mark.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
See, he was about to say when life hands you lemons. All right, this one, I remember this one from the night of the Super Bowl. That the next day, there were a lot of people talking about this actor when he's going to take his shirt off. And I guess a lot of people like that because this man is pretty buff. He works out. He has abs. He has a strong core. So if you're into that kind of thing, you might like this commercial. This is an Amazon commercial. You can clearly see the little smile up there, that little smile, Amazon. I'm sure everyone around the world knows Amazon. And so they're about to speak into this Alexa device. I don't know why they're all standing around Use a little phrasal verb there. They're standing around that table. I don't know why they would be. Maybe they're practicing with this new Alexa thing.
It's just flawless, isn't it?
I think so.
Flawless. Remember the less at the end? Flaw is a mistake. If it's flawless, it has no mistakes.
I mean, I literally couldn't imagine a more beautiful vessel for Alexa to be inside. Alexa, how many tablespoons are in a cup?
There are 16 tablespoons in a cup. Wait, food just...
Look at that. The United States, we use tablespoons and cups. Those are measurements for baking. I'm sure you're thinking, what? I think we're the only country that uses tablespoons and quarts and cups. United States, we have to be different all the time. We use Celsius. No, I'm sorry. We use Fahrenheit. Everybody else uses Celsius. I'm sorry.
just got here. Why you cooking? Who's that?
Alexa, turn on the sprinklers.
Honey, I already ran the sprinklers. Things are getting way too wet around here.
Alexa, dim the lights.
Do you want me to just pause that part in case you like that? I'll pause it. We can all wait for a second. You can always rewind it if you have to.
Alexa, lights up! Alexa, lights up!
Add bath oils to my shopping list.
Alexa, no, don't do that.
Read my audiobook.
I was in his hands. I was being changed.
Other people have to use the bathroom around here too.
All right, we'll move on to another commercial. I was a little distracted myself. I don't know what was going on in that commercial, but I think the wife really loved her Alexa, and then the husband was jealous. He was jealous of the Alexa. That's all I got out of that commercial. I don't think we could learn any English from that. But like I said, if you want, rewind it. I know my wife liked that part in the commercial. All right, this is an M&M's commercial, and this was my favorite commercial of the night of the Super Bowl.
I feel bad for kicking your seat on purpose.
Okay, on purpose. That is something to say you meant to do it. It wasn't an accident. So apparently that man meant to kick his seat. It wasn't an accident. He did it on purpose.
I'm sorry for mansplaining. That's when a man...
I know what it is.
All right, this has become a big term in English in the United States. Mansplaining, when they combine man and explaining, and it's when a guy, because he's a guy, explains something to a woman because he thinks that she can't do it herself. So that was kind of a neat little, he was explaining what mansplaining was, and she said, I know. That's kind of funny, I thought.
I wish she'd have just told you it's a boy.
I wish you didn't have to hear all.
That was actually a gender reveal party. And when I first started this channel, I can put a link to it. I did a gender reveal party. My friend was having a baby, and they didn't know the gender of their baby, and they announced it all at once. And sometimes couples will, see if we can they will just, here's the mansplaining guy.
I know what it is.
We should have just...
So if it's a boy, it's something blue with the color. And if it's a girl, it's usually something pink. So it looks like they're having a boy, but that gender reveal party got a little out of control. When something doesn't go as planned or it gets too big, we might say it got out of control. Last year, there was a forest fire in California, started because of a gender reveal party.
Told you it's a boy.
I wish you didn't have to hear all that.
Sorry, I called you Karen.
That's my name.
Sorry, your name is Karen.
Maybe you know, but Karens are those people, women in their 40s or 50s that just know everything. To be called a Karen in the United States now is not a good thing. It's a little more complicated than that, but I'll let you look it up if you want. But a Karen, not a good thing to be called if you're right around that woman's age.
Promise I will not eat any more of your friends.
Really?
It might happen one more time.
Oh, it's so awful, huh? Eating an M&M when they look kind of like they're real. But M&Ms are good. I don't know if you think so, but I like M&Ms quite a bit. All right, let's end it there. I hope you learned a little something and hopefully a fun way. If you're looking for some more English, right up there is a playlist that I think you'll like, super short lessons. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.